Alright, step one, when you get your lumber, it's going to say it's 8 foot long, and it's really not. It's dimensional lumber, so it's 8 foot close enough. They cut it and here it comes. So what you'll want to do is measure out 8 foot and then cut off the extra. It could be upwards of a ½ inch to even a full inch over. You want them all pretty much 8 foot. If you're an 1/8 of an inch, that's no big deal. 1/16 of an inch, no big deal. But 1/4 inch or more, you really need to cut it down a little bit. Get it back down to at least 8. Half the bed is made of 8 foot segments, and then the width is made of 4 foot. So, and don't take your 8 foot and cut it in half. That sometimes works, but you're better off before you cut it to 8 foot, cut it to 4 foot, and then cut the second piece to 4 foot, and then you'll still have that little bit of extra. That's the first step, is getting all your lumber the right size and the proper size. You can use any wood you want. This is just the lumber I chose to use because it was on sale for $2 a board. Can't get much better than that. It is treated, but it's pet safe, people safe, and garden safe. I'll have a link to this below this video so you can see. Alright, the next step is you'll want to place a hole at one end of every board. Dead center, ½ inch, and ½ inch rebar will go through this. What I did is I measured across, and on average it's 4½ inches across. I can show that. 4½ inches across. It's on average. You'll find that some are different and some aren't. So what I did is measured down 4½ inches, marked it, squared it, drew a line across, then corner to corner, found the center, drilled. Now once I have one of these for each length, I can use it as a template for the next. And I'll show you that in just a sec. Alright, here's a board I did earlier. This is my template board. I place it on top of a second piece of lumber, completely leveled off, and as square as I could on the top. Everything's lined up, and I drilled a little tap hole right through my same hole into the next piece of wood. You'll see there's no marks, so that board was drilled using the template. And I'll keep this template around until it's the last one to go into the bed. Just a little shortcut, saves some time. Now you can certainly measure out each board. I did that for my first 2 beds here, but it takes a lot of time doing a template. And if you come up with a better way of doing a template, that's good. This is just the way I chose to do it. Alright, now that we're laying the very first layer of boards on the ground, I'm not doing anything fancy to the ground. You'll have your board with a hole in it, a board with no hole in it, and then the other corner, the board with the hole now has no hole. Then you have a new board with a hole. This will all make sense in a little bit, but you go around the whole thing. Now, what you do is, I'm no carpenter, but what I'm using is my speed square again. And just making sure each corner is perfectly squared off. And that's good enough for me. I keep telling myself they're supposed to be a little rustic, so you know, they don't have to be absolutely perfect. Alright, and now I'm going to put down my second layer. The key with the hole only on one side, you could do it on both sides, but that's just really a waste of time because you can flip and flop this board however way you want to present it. This is the edge that's going to be facing outward, and I like that side better than this side. This side has a big old knot in it, so I'm going to point it outwards, and I'm just going to lie it down on top of the other one. Alright, there we go. Now the 2 holes on opposite boards lines up. It's going to be hard to show you that with the camera, so just take my word for it. Now what I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm actually going to pound the rebar in. I'm not going to put it all the way in, but I'm going to put it in a little bit to use it as a guide and to make sure I don't lose my squared off pattern. Alright, here we have our 2-foot rebar. Now put it in the ground a few inches. It's very tight because I drilled the hole. I forgot to mention the holes in the board are 1/2 inch. That's 1/2 inch rebar. Now when you go to the big box stores and get the rebar, you can actually get it in 2-foot sections. I think they're like $1.50 each or something. They're not bad, and you only need 4 per bed, so they're actually one of the cheaper components. I did that for each corner. Now you don't want to put it in a 1/2 foot or anything like that, because your bed itself is going to be about 15 to 17 inches tall. So wait until you have as high as you want your bed, and then pound the rebar in the rest of the way. I'm doing my beds 6 or 7 of these high. I'll see. I want them even with my current beds, but my land's on a bit of a slope here, so I may only have to use 6 per side instead of 7. But we'll see. Wanted to take a minute and go over some of the construction issues you may bump into while building these beds. At this stage, you'll see I have the walls built for 2 more beds. But as you're building it, you notice that one side is not tied down to anything. Just stack them as straight as you can. If you're really concerned, you can tap a hole and drill it to the board beneath it. But what's going to happen is you'll end up with big gaps sometimes. That's because my measurement was off, or something was off somewhere and it just didn't line up correctly. It's fine. Don't even worry about it if you bump into this issue. Just leave it as it is. If you want, you can tack this down to the board beneath it. Just drill about halfway and then use a 3-inch deck screw that's for weather, and just screw it to it. I'm not going to bother. Well, what I'll do is I'm only going to do that in the top row. You'll see that in a moment. The ones underneath, there's enough down pressure, and don't even worry about it. Also, what's going to help that is I'm going to show you with a piece of scrap wood here, but the corner trim that we're about to install will actually cover the gap, and then this is going to screw into the loose board and a solid board that has the stake running through it, the corner rebar. So that will tighten right up, that'll get nice and strong. And of course this is just a piece of scrap and it'll go all the way to the top. I just want to mention that, like on this one, you'll see the entire joint is all 4 are the same, but all 4 are nice and tight. That one just happened to go better than this one. That's okay. Either way, it'll all end up being the same and just as strong. Alright, what we did next is put the liner in. This is just landscape fabric or plastic, whatever you want to use. You can even skip this step if you want to, but I figure out a little added protection with the compost against the side of the bed. With the top board loose, you just lift it up, put the plastic underneath, put the board back down. Make sure none of the plastic or whatever showing on this side, the outside, and then pre-tapped some holes about halfway through the wood, and then used 3.5 inch deck screws. I'll show you here. And then that's holding all that down to the board underneath, and the plastic won't slide out when the bed is full of dirt. Alright, to start doing the corners, I take one of my 8-foot 2x8x8, line it up on the corner, making sure this first piece is actually flat to the corner, so it's flat right here across. And then I mark my 2 points in pencil. I'll draw a line with that and cut it, and that'll be that side. And I'll show you the other side in just a second. Alright, this is what it'll look like when the 2 corners are cut. You'll see how they come together. Straight with the, you see you'll put a screw right through there, hold an anchor into that, and then about every other one going down. Now hold it all together. And on the corner, you'll just put a series of screws in from here into here. Make sure you pre-tap every hole so you don't split the wood. And I'll show you how that looks in just a minute. Alright, here we are, all screwed in place. It's not going anywhere. You'll notice I matched, it's hard to see, but you see the face board is on this side. I just matched it. That's just aesthetics. It can go either way as long as one's overlapping the other. These screws are connected into the other board and this board into the main column. Alright, we'll try that again. A bunch of motorcycles just decided to go by. Alright, in the last step we cut our 2 corner pieces. When you do that, that's your 2 by 2 by 8. Take what's left and put it aside. Do another corner and put that piece aside. The long piece aside again. Those are your 2 short pieces for your top. You need them longer than 4 foot for your overhang, aesthetic overhang. You can do them however you want, but this is just how I did it. And then you'll have 2 by 2 by 8 pieces left, or 2 8-foot sections left for your long sides. But anyway, you'll use a 2 by 2 by 8 for a corner and a top, corner and a top, and then just one for the remaining 2 corners. Your leftover will be your top and your short top, and then a new piece for your long and your other long. Now I have a spare piece of, they call it a 2 by 1. It's really smaller than that. But what I did is I used it as a template, and I just placed the board over, you know, see how I'm doing that? So I get the overhang. I did that on 3 sides. So 1, 2, you get the idea. And 3. Just by the 3rd side, I mean the other corner like this. So it's really this side, but it's, you know, you want to make sure it's lined up. On the last side, which is the real 3rd side, I put it underneath, and then you make a mark with your pencil, and that's where you cut. And then you put it back down, screw it down, and you'll have a nice little 1-inch overhang going around your border. Now when you do your 8-foot section, chances are it's not going to line up perfectly. You can see mine's not perfect. They're supposed to be a little rustic, right? So hey, it's all good. But anyway, overlap, your 8-foot section will come out to about here, and then underneath with your pencil make your marks, and then with your straight connect the dots, so you have you basically mimic this edge onto this so you can cut it. Do that on both sides. Sometimes you can get away with only doing one side, but do it on both sides. Make 2 cuts, and then it should fit fairly good. This one I kind of cheated and didn't do one side, so it's a little off. That's fine. Like I said, it's supposed to be a little rustic anyway, and no one will know but you. Someone else looks at it and they just look fantastic. I'll just do a quick little walk around. I still have to get them filled, but that's it. Actually, overall, very simple. Like I said, I'll have a list of everything I used in the description. And overall, just make sure you pick up straight lumber from whatever depot you decide to pick up your lumber at. Make sure it's straight, not warped. A few of my pieces were warped, so had to fiddle with things a little bit. Make sure there's not too many knots, unless you like knots. Watch out for staples, all kinds of little dings and wings. They, you know, yeah, this wood's not super expensive, but you know, if you're charging $8 for a piece of wood, you want it as nice as possible. When I talk about $8, that's the 2 by 2 by 8. The dimensional lumber I got for $2 each when it's on sale. There goes another car, yay. Alright guys, take care. I hope this explains everything. I'm not going to show how I stain it because that's up to you. The top bar or the top seat, I usually I just clear coated Sorry about that. Motorcycles driving by again, making all kinds of hellish noise for no apparent reason, because, you know, mufflers are a bad thing. But anyway, I just clear coat the top, and that'll bring out the wood grain and everything. I didn't do anything else to it. And the sides, I did a red stain, 2 coats, and then I usually end up doing 3 coats, maybe even 4 coats on the corner, the untreated wood. The dimensional lumber, or the large lumber, usually only needs 2 coats. Alright, hope this answers everything. Take care. Thank you for watching.